Hello everyone, this is Shruti Patil, Assistant Professor working in Department of IT, MLR Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. So today we are going to discuss about a topic called incremental process model. Okay, so before going to start today's session, we are going to see what are the today's topics we are going to cover. So first we are going to see about what is the incremental process model and when we have to use the incremental process model and what are the advantages of process model and disadvantages of the incremental process model. So we will start one by one. So first, before going to the architecture diagram, we are going to see what is the definition of incremental process model. Already we have seen that lot of models we are going to use in a SDLC. So here we can say that incremental model is also known as a successive version model. So this is why we call it a successive version model, means in every other model in SDLC, we are gathering the requirement from the customer and then we are delivering it to the final stage, we are delivering it to the customer. So here, but in this incremental process model, what we are doing means we are gathering the requirement from the customer, then we are dividing it into a different models, that is module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4. So first thing what we are doing is we are gathering the requirement, then we are going to divide it into the multiple modules, or you can call it as we are going to break it into the multiple different builds. Okay, so that is what the definition indicating. So it is also known as the successive version model and widely adopted model for the software development process, where the software requirements, this is the focus point, where the software requirements are divided and broken down into the multiple standalone modules, that is we call it as incremental model. So what we are doing, for example, if I want to give it as a real time example, for suppose we are using the LMS model, okay na, LMS software we are using. So in LMS software, it means what? Learning software we are using. So here learning management software, what we are doing, first we are developing one module called module A. Okay, next what we are doing, next we are going for the another module called module B, again we are developing another module called module C. So here one by one we are incrementing the modules over here. So that is what in LMS what we are doing, first we want to update the student attendance. So attendance module we are going to develop it. LMS is a big one project, in that we are taking attendance, student attendance uploading as an one module. After that what we are doing, suppose we want to talk related or we want to update related the information related to placement. So next another model we are developing. Next faculty related attendance we want to develop. So that is one another model. So here complete module or complete one application we are dividing it into the different module. So incrementally we are developing an application one after another. So this is what we call it as incremental model, the incremental process model. So this is the architecture how the incremental process model will looks like. See here, first steps what we are doing, we are gathering the requirement from whom? We are gathering the requirement from the customer. Once the requirement gather from the customer, then what we are going to do here, we are going to define it in one model. Suppose think this is the module 1 or build 1 we are developing. So every module, as you see the architecture, every module has to go through these steps. First one is development step, next one is the testing, another one is the implementation. So whenever we are collecting the requirement from the customer, in requirement phase what we are going to do means there is a analyst, requirement analyst will be there, they will analyze the requirement, then they will prepare an SRS document, that is the final document we are going to collect from the customer. Then in a first model they are going to design that application, means if you take any of the application, for example module 1 we are developing login page or any student registration page. So once that module is designed, next we are going to code, that means code, we are going to development process we are going. So we are going to develop that. Once the development done, here next step will be testing. So again in testing we are going to check any errors we are going to have in that particular application which is designed and developed in a previous step. If everything is okay, then we are going, next step is for the implementation. In implementation step, we are going to verify one more time whatever the design and developed module is there, that is tested properly or not, that we are going to check it and we are going to implement that. Finally, after passing all 3 stages, when the module 1 is ready, that we are going to release it to the customer. So here this is the one module we have developed. Next, what will happen once the customer is using that particular module, either after using that he is going to understand, either he has to add any of the new application or new features to the next module. That is what we call it as a build to. Suppose module 1 is ready, customer is using that module, and here module 2 is getting ready. Okay, it is under the some development or design process. Okay, that time the customer who is using module 1, he is going to either add the some new features in the build 2 or module 2, or he may think that after using the module 1, he may think that okay, I have to remove some of the features from the module 2. So like that the process will go. Each time whenever we are developing modules, every module should pass through the design and development, testing and implementation, then only we are going to release module to the customer. Again, like this, if any of the feature has to be added, is gonna be added or it gonna be removed, that will be done in a next phase. So like this, model 1 to the model n, incrementally we are developing an application after gathering the requirement. And here main focus thing is, after every implementation stage of the models, we are releasing that to the particular customer. Model 1 done, release to the customer. If any feedback or removal of the things, that will be done in a module 2. Then like that module 3, module 4, like that module n we are going to increment, keep on incrementing, and we are developing an application. So this is how the incremental model architecture will looks like. And next comes when to use the incremental model. We got to know that what is incremental model and what is the how the architecture of the incremental model will looks like. Now we are going to see when to use the incremental model. So first point they are telling is when the requirements are superior. So whenever the requirements are very highly needed from the customer side, customer wants to give continuously requirement one after the another, or after each one model he wants to add the requirement to the next model, that situation we can use the incremental model. Next they are telling when to use incremental model, means it whenever the project has a lengthy development schedule. Lengthy development schedule means, for example, we have taken a LMS as our real time example, correct? So LMS is a big application. Even now if some of the features are present or not, we can add the extra features. We can use it for a student, we can use it for a faculty, we can use it for a placement department, any of the learning process we can use it. And whenever user using it as a faculty, as a student, either they want to add the extra features, or else they want to add the, or they want to remove some of the features which is not so useful for the particular user. So that kind of application can be a lengthy process. So that kind of project, the incremental model can be used. So next comes the software team are not very well skilled or trained. It means we cannot say that all the persons who are working on the incremental models are single broken models. It's not like all are not so skilled. Okay, we have to use some of the resources. So if we want to explain this point, means see, if model 1 we are delivering, it doesn't mean that all the resources from the company, either it is a human resource or else the technical resource, we cannot use all the resource at a time to build the model 1. Some of the people can also work on the model 2 also, and some are working on the model 1. So based on this, they have mentioned that the software team are not very well skilled or trained. So if they have the knowledge, little knowledge about the particular how to develop a model, how to test the model, less resource is also useful. So that kind of application also, if we have a less skilled or trained people also, we can use them for the incremental process model. So next comes when the customer demands a quick release of the product. So quick release of the product means what we are doing here means we are developing a model 1 and releasing it to the customer, and again we are going for the another incremental model called model 2. Model 1 done, released to the customer, and we are working on model 2, it is done, released to the customer. So every time customer involvement will be there whenever we are collecting requirement and whenever the development stage has been done, we are releasing it to the customer. So in that situation, customer again he demands like no in LMS, suppose in LMS what they will do, some institution first they want the student attendance module only the first priority to them. So that kind of customer what they will do, they are going to ask the particular company like okay, if we have more than 10 modules but they want first module priority as the student attendance uploading module only the first priority. So in that priority wise the customer needed means such kind of situation we are going to use the customer demanded modules. So that time we are going to use the incremental modules. Next comes you can develop a prioritized requirement first, same thing. So based on the customer requirement, based on the customer demands only we are going to develop an application. When it compared to the another models, when we are comparing incremental model with another models, what will happen in SDLC, what we are doing, we are going to freeze the requirement. Once we collected the requirement, until the maintenance stage and implementation stage we are not going to allow customer to do any changes in the application. But here in incremental model what we are doing, we are accepting the customer demand and we are accepting their priorities, which model to be done first, that model we are going to be giving to the customer. So in such situations or in such points we are going to use the incremental model. So next comes advantages. So every application has an advantages and disadvantages. So here let us see the errors are easy to be organized. In incremental models errors are easy to be organized. Why they are saying like that? Because model 1 we are developing, releasing it to the customer. So here customer continuously using this model 1 and he is identifying if any bug is there, he is identifying, or any feature he want to add, that can be that he is going to identify. So that is by using the customer continuously the application, it is easy to be recognized where we are going to get the error, what kind of the feature we need to add, or after adding what kind of the feature we are going to get the error. So we are going to identify, that can be one advantage for the incremental model. So next comes more flexible. Incremental model we calling it as more flexible because you already know that we can use it like based on the priority, based on demand of the customer. So if we given demand of the customer which kind of application or which model he want, first only we are developing and giving it to him, then they are very flexible to use that kind of application, and even it is more easier for us to like develop whichever the next application left over or next model left over. So it is a very flexible thing if we are using the incremental process model. Next comes simple to manage because risk, based on the risk it is simple to manage. We already know that if continuously using the model which we have developed now, which is very easy to identify the risk, because adding or removing of the feature we get to know that what kind of the risk we are going to get. Okay, so during its iteration, that's what continuously they are using, and continuously one after the another model we are developing, so they are integrated with each other. So based on that it is easy to manage the risk. Okay, so next advantage is client gets important functionality early. This is what we call it as priority. Whichever the customer giving more priority, that only the company or the particular thing they are going to get it as much as possible, because priority matters more here. So that is done by using the incremental process model. So these are the some advantages of incremental process model. So next we are going to see about what are the disadvantages. See, First disadvantages is continuous iterations. The cost may increases because module 1 we developed, releasing it to the customer. We are under module 2 development, but customer come up with some of the additional features or removing of the features. That time what will happen? Some features are related to the module 1 and module 2. They are interrelated. So in that situation, while adding any of the feature or removing the feature, it may increase the time. If the time increase, resource also required more to develop that kind of application or to solve the errors. So that time what will happen? Cost may definitely increase. Multiple iterations customers are doing and they are coming with the new features, or they are continuously telling no, this feature is not so useful, don't add it in module 2 or the next build. So that time it may take some time, and along with that cost may definitely increase. So next disadvantage is every iteration step is distinct and does not flow into the next. So here what will happen? Every iteration we can say it as different, because module 1 based on the priority also we are delivering the modules to the customer. So might be module 1 is easy to use and easy to develop, but module 2 may not be like that. It may take more time, or we said it may take more cost. So there are different things. So each module are differently developed, and differently we are going to delivering it to the customer, and they are adding new features or they are removing the features that may also impact on the incremental process model, and that can be a one disadvantage, we can say that. And next comes, it takes a lot of time and effort to fix an issue in one unit if it needs to be corrected in all the units. That is what, if module 1 developed, module 2 done, module 3 done. So what will happen? Each module, sometime some application may having integrated with each the module. Suppose module 1 may integrate with module 3, or module 3 may be with module 2. So that time what will happen? It will take lot of time to fix an issue. Or suppose a customer telling in module 2 I don't want some of the features, some 2 features I don't want. So if while removing the module 2 features, it may impact on the module 3. If it is impacting on module 3, definitely it will impact on module 1. So in that situation, errors may occur more, or time will take more to fix that kind of bugs. So this is what an issue, this can be an disadvantage for the incremental process model. So these are the some disadvantages we have seen. So when it comes to the incremental process model, they are saying it is a successive model, because when it is successive, when customer demands and customer prioritize some particular model, that situation we can say that okay, this is a successive model. When it comes to the mix up, whenever we are using module 1 and module 2 and n numbers of the modules, if so those are interrelated, if we want to change anything, it is impacting on the another thing. In that situation, we can say that incremental process model is not so good. So that's the reason incremental development is done in steps from analysis, design, implementation, testing, verification and maintenance. So these are the very important steps when we are using a incremental process model. Along with the advantages of incremental process model, we have to focus on the disadvantages also. In which situation or what kind of application we want to use the incremental process model, only for that situation it can be an advantage. Thank you.